Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at some participant videos from Street Dance Girl Fighter Season 2. What's nice about these is these do not require a VPN to kind of bypass to get to just being able to watch in Korea. So I'm very excited to take a look at this with this format because I feel like it's just a little bit neater. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a watch. Hey! Love the energy on this. That was a cut. Did you see that? Nice little round up. Okay. Okay, that also looked like a second cut right there. Okay, so I noticed two cuts in this. I'm gonna verify though that that's indeed what it is. 2 and 3, 4. What's my quality at? Okay. That was a cut. That was a cut. Okay, so this is kind of a toss-up for me because I have already reacted to Street Man Fighter and I watched the crew previews of that show as well as we've seen crew previews of Street Woman Fighter and the other fighter series. And with those, they had cuts all in their routines that weren't one takes or anything. So, and those were fine because some of them went the concept route, some of them went the classroom route. I'd say JUSTJERK went the classroom route for one of their crew previews, so I see that. I think for me, what would have really made this feel that much more impressive is if it was done in a one take. Because if you notice, based on the formations, it just feels like they cut because they wanted to get the best sections of each take that they got. So trust me, I'm definitely somebody who would lean that way myself, but that would just be my overall note of I think I would have really been more captivated naturally if they did not, if they didn't cut it at least twice. But to each their own. I really like the build-up here, really fun showcasing their personality here. Pull it back, you know, pull it back. And Siren, now I know the song Siren, it was from Rise. They're one of the, so I have, up until this point, I believe I've reacted to all of their comebacks or their debut things at this point. Who knows what's going on with them right now, but y'all, anyway, going from here, I really love the energy that they have. Having their feature in the center be the only one that maintains that position on both sides, everybody going out to the side, and then they drop the hands, providing more progression with the choreo while still establishing your feature in the front, which is really fun. Pulling in, nice little energy there, da 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 da, and then nice and composed to branch out into a more legato transitional groove, which is really fun. Love that. I say my one note, the camera is helping them to a certain degree because some of that transition I kind of felt a bit restricted. Yeah, it felt more like they were kind of doing it in place. Well, some of them were, which I would say if it's a transition step, you keep doing the step until everyone's in the spot until the next movement. So I would say really have no qualms with that. The branching out to the side, the pull, bring it back in. I love the energy here, showing the individuality of all the members. So far we haven't seen a ton of, we've seen some dynamics, we haven't quite seen some levels specifically within the dynamic realm. So that would be my overall note for this as well. Nice little round off. I love the stability within that. I love that hit and doo-doo-doo, just dropping it down, doing wordplay. Really like that. Pas de bourrée. Energy there, boom, 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 and then they go back, swing, swing, bring it up, da, 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 da. Now here with JUSTJERK, we've seen them do this, and they did a very good job being technically correct. And what's funny is that the video I'm referencing just got released today on YouTube, so that's really fun with the mega crew. But notice how they do it. right there. They're the example of what I was talking about in the JUSTJERK Mega that some crews end up doing instead of what JUSTJERK actually did, which was technically correct. They did a vibration instead of a jerking pulse. So this isn't actually any technique. This is more of the refined technique. So you see the difference here. There's a refinement. It's more like a sprint of your muscles. So I would say that would be my note there, is that I know they went off of to hit that particular sound. That little boom boom boom. So I'll just chalk it up to the boom 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 and not they're trying to use it as a transition. But if they were using it as a sense of transition, then I would have said as a suggestion to refine that technique. But they were specifically hitting the triples, boom boom boom. They did a triple hit. So I think that is absolutely fine. As they wave it through, really nice. I love that. Wave it through, click, click, click. Really nice seeing the ISO. What's interesting is that ISO reminds me of, it was the first challenge. I just reacted to the first unmasked version of the challenge for Street Dance Girl Fighter Season 1. And I saw a very similar progression of an ISO in one of the groups. It was the football one. I believe it was Team Way B. I think it was that one. And the reason why I remember is because Nose kept cleaning that section because one of the girls kept getting the order wrong. And so that's why I was able to pick up on it here. I love that. Ba ba da da. That was really nice transition. Y'all know how I feel about basket runs. I really feel like we could have figured out a different way to get into this formation, but to each their own. If anything, it's a JUSTJERK fingerprint of a basket run transition, but that's most crews' fingerprint at this point. So I'm always going to bring it up regardless of how, you know, how fast they use the basket run to get to somewhere. I always think there is another way that we could figure out a way to transition outside of that, but it is naturally a cleaner transition. I will give them that. I love that. Beep, beep. So they're here. They touch each other's shoulders to go beep, beep, boom, and they're melting over to one side. Camera's really helping on this. I love that with the boom, boom, down, over, and then they turn. Really fun to see. Love the ISO there with the groove to extend out. And so they're really showcasing their wide range of how they can present themselves. So they can show more extroverted movement, very full movement, very dynamic movement as a group. They can all match that energy together, which helps them in the case of being a crew. If you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are 7 of them. So whoever they go to, there is a chance, because remember that new rule that everyone is, it's talk of the town right now. The new rule is they're making a crew out of 7, right? So they have to drop down whoever they have that they got into 7. They got 7 people, so whatever crew they join, which I believe was Bebe, is either they pick all of JUSTJERK rookies or they pick who they want from JUSTJERK rookies and then take individuals. I would say, you know, possibly going this route, just taking the crew, because they're going to be naturally a lot cleaner than if you try to integrate individuals into this. But that's a completely side topic entirely. I just think it's very fortunate that they have 7, and that is the required, I think, limit, which is 7 for a crew. That throw. Yeah, I love the build there. Da 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 da. Then pas de bourrée over as a transition. Make a nice subtlety. Also, we see a little bit of a Bebe, a little bit of Bada Lee influence right there with that type of top. We've seen that. They really do go with that motorcycle aesthetic. No, I'm not saying that Bebe specifically has ownership over that, but I do think it's something important to note. That could be a subconscious kind of catering to that crew. I know Bada specifically has done a ton of stuff with JUSTJERK, so it doesn't surprise me at all. I would say just the energy in general is nice. They build it well. Obviously, my one note is we noticed one of them. I think she came up a little bit sooner, but there's a good chance she's your feature. Yeah. You notice that her arms came up, but then her other partner on the side over here, her arms came up. So that's the only reason why I questioned whether or not she was being a feature or if she was a little early there. Love the energy here. Transition. I like that we get to switch off who's in the front. That pop, pop, pop. Now, I will say the camera was a little bit closer there, and so we're not able to see what the full body is doing in that section. It feels like they were keeping him using the hips in the chest a lot more here, which is really cool, and I like that. You know, they kind of hit it 4 times. Camera really helps with that. Be able to keep it engaging through, even if they do repetitive grooves, it still looks more captivating because the camera is able to provide more complexity with the angle. I love that turn, that vroom. And honestly, I think that was a really cool way to end it, especially because we were seeing a lot of diagonals, a lot of different modifications done to the camera work. So having the twist at the end, I think was really, it made a lot of sense. So this was really fun, makes total sense why they're in the show, not only because of the name itself, JUSTJERK, and JUSTJERK's affiliation, or just how well known they were even prior to joining the Street Fighter series. That on top, as well as just how they their training program. I think this is a really great way for JUSTJERK as an academy to promote their discipleship or their programs, if you think about it, because they've had these professional programs, or they've had these putting people together for jobs or different works and stuff, depending, like JUSTJERK family, so I think this is actually really benefiting the girls as well as JUSTJERK. So I'm very excited to see how they do. I do know Turns from season 1 won the show, and they were affiliated with JUSTJERK, so I do feel like they may do well in placement, but there's also other heavy hitters involved this time, so we don't know how things are going to influence and what kind of challenges and the dynamics. We don't know what's going to go down, but we know it's going to be pretty cool. All right, so Lee So-min is doing the same choreo, it looks like, compared to what she did at the audition, but it's a fixed point this time! Love that. I think I said for her that 1 mil would be a really good option, or oh yeah, is that the end? I think it was. I completely forgot who I said and what you guys told me she signed up for. I love that. Love that. It's a fixed point, and you just get to see it, just be captivated. Like, it's still just as good as whenever we saw it. Just the energy is so nice, or pulled together here. So before I get into this, so we technically already looked at this, but it's nice to see a fixed point version where it's just a one take. I love it because you're able to appreciate it a lot more that way. Even though she did have a one shot live, in front of the judges and in front of the mentors, it's still really nice to just be able to see it just in video. Because imagine it live if it's this captivating in video. And that's a big kicker in all of these too. If they look wonderful in video, imagine the energy you would feel live. It really does hit different, So I do not remember who she ended up going with. I think what I put for her was Mannequin or 1 mil. I don't know who she went with. Anyway, she's gonna be a great addition to the team. All that to say, I think she got an all-in. Okay, that's what I guessed. Just with the whacking overheads, I think she would have. I think it was a mix of that with the tutting. Really reminded me of Mannequin, of their arsenal or people that they normally work with. So that's why I was leaning more towards Mannequin. But I think she ended up going to 1 mil. I don't know. Y'all let me know. But this, just her energy there. Her whacks, her overheads are beautiful. Her angles are really nice here. You can still see, my notes still remain the same. You do see a bit of an over curvature of her hand here. And just pressing it down. I love that though, where she has more stylistic choices on her arsenal as she switches it. It's very clean. Just being able to do these types of fold down fixed points with your tuts is very difficult to do at that speed. And hers are clean. The only thing that I'm actually touching on is the refinement of the angle, but even then is a micro fix. Like, it doesn't change the overall impressiveness of what she's doing. And that's a very, very big thing to note about that. I love that. Okay, this right here, boom, that how she broke it up reminded me of Harimu through and through from her Street Woman Fighter. Question mark from Click Like. That's what that reminded me of. I didn't see that in the other video. That okay with the overhead, setting it up, angles. It's just so nice to see going a diagonal approach with how she hits it versus keeping it linear. She tilts it and then she turns it into more fixed points. Like, look, the fact I have to think, like, thoroughly think through this to ensure that my angles are in check. But so the amount of discipline and drilling that she would have had to have done is very commendable and very impressive. I love that just the rotation of her body is really nice into the rolls, showcasing her flexibility. Look at the control there. My note still remains the same about her feet. I would feel that because they're turned out. Really making a parallel is going to be healthier for her long term when you do any sort of bridge work, handstand, cartwheel, any acro skill. Having your feet parallel or in line with your knees is going to be helpful. Even in ballet, when you do a plie, you want your knees to follow the track of the feet. That's just, it's healthy. It's healthy for your joints. As if you want to do this for a long time, you got to be mindful where your knees go. So that's my one note about that. Two, still big note. I love with the rotation too that she hits. So she not only does ticks, she does some tuts. She does overheads to help counter the dynamics. And not only that, she adds wrist rotations to go into it to help tailor in those overheads that we had already seen. So really great in the turn down. I love she goes down, 2 hits over. Yeah, the da-da-da, like having that urge of energy was really nice. She pulls it down, that turn. And then she finishes the exact way that we remember seeing her. I am so glad she's in the show, and I hope that she makes it through the cuts, because we all know that the cuts are going to be happening, and it's not going to be fun for a lot of groups. Especially if you got some heavy hitter individuals, the crews are going to want to, the mentors are going to want to keep them. So they're going to be breaking up some crews, which is going to be, that's going to be an interesting episode if I ever saw one. So, but anyway, this was wonderful to watch this time, just as much as it was the first time. I really liked seeing the fixed point, like I mentioned, because it was just a one take, really able to see what crosses over between the two, what was kind of angleified and what was truly incredible. And I think her solo is wonderful, and I am really glad that Mnet sees that and appreciates that. Where I know it was like Mike Song and Monica, I think they were the ones that screened these. I'm really glad that they were able to appreciate this. I had a feeling they would, but it's really nice to see this represented on the show. Okay, I don't know if I've seen Kim Ji-hye, I'm sorry. Oh my god, yes! Look at her doing botting. Definitely more into the robotic, I would say. Very, oof. But within the more of the robot technique, that's confined from popping, derived not really truly in the animation cultural genre that we've seen nowadays. There's a classic fundamental element about how she's doing her robot technique, and I really love it. God, I love this. Guys, that was freaking sick. I wish I could have seen her. I don't think they posted her audition yet. I know that's probably gonna be like an episode 2 thing, but good God, did you see this? I'm assuming you did, because I just watched it too. It's so beautiful to see this. So she starts out from the top. I may have to, no, I'm not going to 0.75 it. I think I'll be able to articulate it effectively here. Okay, so she starts out, she does more of a speed change. She's putting most of her weight in her heels as she rotates. That's what creates that illusion that her feet are moving. Really love that. Moving over, she does a reset, and she does kind of like a glitch in the middle to make it give that robotic effect. Notice how stoic she is in the top. Really great job. This is when having more of a stoic face in these types of techniques is really going to work in your favor, because robots a lot of times have the absence of emotion. So having no emotion can be very helpful when you're trying to come across with a more fundamental robotic aesthetic, which is what we're seeing here. When you think about the track does remind me more of it's an old school popping, like I would equate it more to an old school robot popping track, which is why I said what I said during the initial reaction, and I think it's beautiful, and it's really nice to see. So if you didn't know, there is popping, and then robot is one of those texture subgenres underneath popping, and nowadays, just like waving has its own culture and community and all of that, you have animation has its own community and culture, and these techniques are more so have been gleaned over into that side, like NPC style, all that. So but I'm noticing there's a really heavy popping fundamental influence to how she's doing it, and I love it. So notice that she does it on both sides, and she does it multiple times, and I love that because it's a proper build in the track that you're hearing. And then she waves it, like kind of has more of a like a very legato, like subtly legato form to come out of it. She comes out. Notice right there, head isolations are heavily in play for all of this. I'm going to have to 0.75 it. Because And this is definitely more my wheelhouse of technique identification. From there, you notice she does more of head ticking. Not really head ticking, more like a head pop. So that would be the taking the back of the neck and flexing it, causing it to go up slightly. Then she did a chest pop there. Head isolation, using the foot to help control that, rolling up into the ball of the foot and back down. 2 little divots, like do-do-do, to reset, using the back to control that, not the hand. The hand makes it unstable. Using the back makes it feel very resisted to the joint pocket that comes with it. And that's really nice to see. I love the usage here. Notice she has her position. She holds on to it. She switches, do-do, and doing a little bit of, I would say, she's not popping it, but she is definitely, oh my gosh. Would I call this, would this be a dime stop? I'll say dime stop until proven otherwise. I'm going to say those are dime stops that she's doing. Because I'm trying to physically do it. And how she hits it, boom. It's just her dime stops are really, really clean and loud in her dime stops. And normally you don't see that, but she's not popping or flexing in them. You know, she's in control the whole time. She's just changing position. So that's why I'm catering more towards dime stops. So as she switches over, she comes up. God, and I love that switch over, doo-doo. She comes up, doo-doo. Love that boom, boom, speed change, head, speed change. Again, matches the music beautifully. Closes the fist, heel toe. Then she goes, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, head. Really beautiful wave. Very clear in how she starts, but notice it's not legato. She's being very clear about showcasing or trying to put dime stops in her wave. So there's that sense of stiffness involved in a groove that's normally more legato. And I love that hit, ding, 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 ding. That wasn't a groove, it was just a technique, so my apologies. As she resets back to the front, looks down. From here, she does more of a vibration wave with a trace, which is really nice. And notice she breaks it down more like a gear shift, which is really nice. Back out, but she matches the music. Do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, and then she travels it down, which I really like. Switching the feet, coming back up and out. Beautiful, beautiful sequence. If you didn't catch the direction she went in and out a couple times as she dropped it down, traveled it in the feet a little bit more, and then she came back up. That was filthy. Beautiful technique that she has. Head tilt, bring it down, waving it back out, shoulder isos, then waves it out. Bringing the feet back in once again. She resets, and then she sets, she revs up her own gears to travel forward. As she sets this, what's nice is there is a really important thing that we're seeing is she is separating her hips or her lower half from her upper half. So her upper half is tilting over. It's on its own timing, and that's what makes this polyrhythmic and complex. So she's tilting over whenever she needs to. Her walks are completely controlled and refined, meaning if you chopped her, it gives the appearance if you chopped her upper half off, it would still give the walk it needed. If she was just existing in the upper body, it would just be, it's just two completely different presences, which works so well here. But still within the confines of the technique. With the speed changes, waving it up, dropping it down. The speed change, look at the tension. She comes up. Now, combining it with that very beginning speed change with the heels, dipping it down with the head. She pulls it, that vibration. That is an example of proper vibration technique. You see it's a little bit smaller. Of course, you can see extroverted vibrations, but how she refines it is beautiful here because it matches the overall concept of bodying that she's doing. From here, you notice that reverb that she's doing. It's very similar to whenever robots power off, they have that reverb and or recoil. I would equate that there, and she's doing a wonderful job keeping it on tempo, now adding polyrhythmic isos of her wrists, channeling over into her head, vibrating to come right back up, marching back. That's been my one tiny note, is that her walk back didn't quite have the same aesthetic walking forward. So if she wanted to maintain her bodying concept, she would need to be more mindful of her weight shifts in her feet and try not to make that look overly pedestrian. But that's like my one note in the whole grand scheme of her technique. This is freaking phenom, what she's doing. I love the gun, cocks the gun, threads it through. She pulls it, so she cocks it, threads it, pulls it. It feels like I'm playing Bop It right now. And she reverb, and then she, boom, has that reverb or the recoil, and then she vibrates it down, matches the music, out, twisting, switching, switching, and dropping. Freaking gorgeous. Now, who would I put her with? I don't know, because when you remember, like, do I think she'd be a good fit with any of the crews that we've seen? That's another factor that's been thrown in the mix, is that we're looking for 7 people. Is she going to be one of those 7 from a crew? She's gonna pass. I really feel that way because of her technique's too good. You know, like it's so respectable. I think it would be a disrespect if she pulls that in auditions and she doesn't pass or somebody doesn't vote for her. The only reason why they wouldn't vote for her is because she wouldn't be a good fit on their team, not because of her competency, because that was wonderful and very captivating to watch. I'm not going to really guess what team I think she should go to, because I feel like I'm going to get my feelings hurt next episode anyway, with some of these crews getting split up and it's going to be a whole affair, you know. But that was probably one of my favorite auditions I think I've ever seen from the Street Dance Girl Fighter franchise, like this segment. That audition was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. It was so technically sound. And I'm very much hoping that she gets on a team that she's able to coordinate or work to where she's one of those 7 people on that team. Okay, I have not seen Kim Yubin yet. Okay, got some crump up in here. Let's go. So it is crump choreo that we're seeing. Okay, love the play. Love t-shirt play on this. Love the little wave there. It was super fun. Yeah. Nice. Rev up. Oh, I love that. That was cool. Great. That was, I like that ending a lot. Do I think that it was lacking some performance in the sense of the raw energy that normally is associated and affiliated with Crump? Yes. I feel like a lot of her movement was placed, or she was just doing choreo, Crump choreo, while holding a Crump posture. The essence of the rawness, the essence, the spirituality of Crump, like Prime Kings, whenever you would watch Prime Kings battle, or you would see them in their choreography, there's that essence present that you see. And it's honestly, it's just really hard to do without others. When you isolate it to by yourself, it is significantly harder. It is, because a lot of times it's very communal. Just like other cultural dances are, you know, a lot of social, Crump is low-key a social dance as it is a spiritual dance. So I think that's my overall note here. Hypothetically, if we have, I mean, her technique looks fine. I think some refinement would be great, but that's my overall note I would have for her is I love her gimmicks. I love her usage to her song. That's my big note that I feel like is the biggest indicator on how she would do. If the energy is around this that she auditions with, because I'm assuming that those who are participating, these are their audition clips, is what this feels energy-wise. If she performs and let's say she passes, I think Jam Republic or Mannequin may be good options, because Mannequin has Bucky and Jam Republic has Emma. So they could be very beneficial for this style specifically. Out of the mentors, of course, other mentors they will have other crumpers in their lives that could help, but direct people involved or who can be directly involved are here, that can be there overall. And notice here she really tended to isolate a little bit more on her you know, her arm placements here and her switches. I would say her jabs too, a lot of them are lacking. It's just an energy. We're lacking a lot of energy. There is a bit of a disconnect, except for this ending between her upper body and her lower body. So that would be an overall note to say as well. But I will chalk it back up to essence. That right there, that energy was great. Probably the best part of that whole section. I love that cock-up. Boom! And how she committed with her head, dropped to the floor. I loved that. And then how she finished. So that was a really good finish, for sure. But that would be my overall note for her, is what I've kind of, I think I've mentioned it a couple times, so I don't feel like beating a dead horse on it. But I'm assuming, I'm hopeful that if she makes it onto the show and she gets a pass, those who pass her, I think those two crews may be really good options for her to refine or to understand how to integrate that essence a little bit more. That part of me wishes I saw her in a more environment that would help promote that, because it is really hard, like I've said, even for adults to do it, you know. So for a teenager to do it, it's hard to not disconnect choreography, because krump is not really a choreographed style either. Not saying that it doesn't get choreographed, because Prime Kings, right? And I see it in Mega Cruise a lot. It's harder to justify krump in choreography than it is other styles, is really my point. But it was really fun to see the style represented. Kim Garam. I don't believe we've seen her. Okay. Yeah. Really great pops. Really fun. That was really fun. A couple of notes that I noticed here. She did choose to pursue or hit a type of timbre on the track a very similar way. So that would be my suggestion, is to explore different ways to hit those bases outside of just your chest pop or your overall body pops. So from the top though, really enjoyable. I also think I heard that one of the crews that I had guessed, it starts with an N and then it ends with the letter V. I can't pronounce it. It's what, Nararaha V. I did say hook would be a good option for them, but I heard they went to 1 mil. So correct me if I'm wrong on that. But for here, this is really fun to see. I will say that she would do a good job if we were supposed to like combine crews or combine groups. She would fit well with that group, but I could see her in hook. Probably just the overall classics aesthetic, hook can do a really good job with or hone in on. So this just is really fun how she hits the music. She is also lip syncing, and that's a preference thing. Some people, I would say, they get turned off by the lip syncing, and some people like it. It just kind of depends, especially in the musical theater. That's like more like a low-key, in the studio dance world in America, I can attest to this. It's like a controversial topic, to lip sync or to not lip sync, and then there's always points on both sides for competitions, but that's not what we're talking about here. So for me, it's a preference thing. My preference would be, at least she's doing it the whole time, but she's not committing to the diction or the dictation of how it's being said, like how I'm talking. So it feels like it's just a subconscious thing she could be doing. So that would be my note of maybe avoid doing that, unless it was an active cognitive choice to make that. And she does her body roll variations, drops it down. Her posture, she caters more, she keeps it more out to the side, but she does a good job with connecting her legato with her staccato, going from waves over into pops. Her pops are very clean and refined. I like it how she hits boom, boom, boom. She is choosing to do more bops than pops, and you can tell because pops tend to go extroverted more out, boom, boom. Bops go more towards the inside of the body. So you can see that on some of these. I love that breakaway with the hinge. Some influence. Notice there's a good chance she could be freestyling here because of how she keeps going to certain fingerprints of her posture. And meaning like doing the same style the whole time is not the same as fingerprints of a posture. So what I mean is that she's not extending her range in her posture as much as you normally would see in choreography or you would see in more fluent freestylers. She's really keeping her arms around more internal than what we've seen before. Dripping, I really love the framing with the wrist. And that was a really nice sequence as she hits. She brings it around, drops it down, and then does a nice walk with weight shifts. It's similar to what we saw from one of our Miss Robot, is what I would call her. Her name escapes me, but her solo is probably one of my favorite auditions, like I've said. She did a walk similar to that, but hers was a little bit shorter. She hits with that, so she hit, I don't know if it was quite a vibration, but she did do multiple pops there, which was really nice. The roll through, and she's popping really matches the energy. So the energy is not what my whole point of exploring different ways to execute the timbre. It's I think for her, instead of just hitting the same way, finding different postures, positions, maybe doing a different technique to help justify it would really showcase her vocabulary and diversity of styles she could represent, because that will help her in mentors that would want to be selected by her. So that's an overall note as well. Yeah, so I really do like having how she is creating more angles around and then swiveling it through, doing a little bit of baby cobra head, and then she throws it up. So it was a really nice solo. I'm expecting good results for her at her audition. I would assume, like I'm saying, I'm going off of the assumption that these being showcased they end up auditioning, hopefully, because some of them are great, even though I hadn't seen the Street Dance Girl Fighter version of it, but it's still super cool to see. These are sick. SOULICAL. I don't think I've seen them yet. Love the aesthetic of how they're coming across in their vibe. Yeah. Yeah. Gorgeous, ladies. Woo! Very nice. They can tailor to a lot of crews with this. That was a very clean run. And the stand up. Super fun. Okay. From the top here, I think Hook, Mannequin, La Chica, those three would be really good choices for them. I love the energy that they present going from their staging and bringing it a little bit closer. It has a more social vibe to it where they're all kind of transitioning, walking through, turning around. Great use of their levels. I think the energy there, pose, melting it through, having one feature on the side, really fun with overheads, and notice how they do it. There is some control. They're not just popping it off. They're having control and resistance through it. It adds texture, which I really love seeing individuality and artistry in that. They're having a lot of little subtle groove moments. I will say my one note with this is usage of the face. I feel like their performance here could be a little bit more engaging with each other as well as with the track itself. I think that is something that could help make this feel more captivating, as well as with some of the dynamic choices. It feels like they're taking that laid back approach without popping off really at any point. So it does come across like this is their go-to posture. So my suggestion would be to have more extroverted moments of stylistic shift in their posture, in how they choose to attack some of the movements to the track, and then going back to this laid back. So having these breathable moments of that, so it helps tailor to the concept, but extend and showcase your vocab, your staging, and your performance quality. So it makes you want to showcase yourself as a full package, not this is our one-hit wonder, but it's still one-hit wonders are still hits, but if you're looking for a longevity of a show like this, you want to showcase multiple genre representation and multiple grooves as well as multiple styles represented. So as they finish on straight line, really nice as they go. I love that. Dun, da, da. And very, very gimmicky there. Love the kick over, do, drop it over, bring it back up. Energy. I would say like a lot of these movements, a smile would go pretty far on this one, but some of them are taking a more serious approach. Love that slow and over. I like the fact that they all match energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7, so that would be tapping out on a group if or a mentor if they did not pick any individuals or anybody else. They could just go with this crew and it would be great. But we know how Mnet can be, and we know how these things work. So we will see what happens to this crew next episode. I would assume that they're going to be hanging out with us, or we'll be seeing their audition there. Or maybe it's already released on Choom, like their audition. Who knows? I don't know if they were shown in the first episode. Y'all let me know. But I like the switches right here. This was really nice. I will say we're not showing a huge variety when a group is involved, and not a huge variety of the levels that I feel like could have been more helpful in making these movements feel more refined or feel more complex, because they are writing the rhythm in really interesting musicality choices. But I think that because of the groove or the pocket is very similar, it can overlap and it can be more difficult to spot those differences in how they're going about their musicality. So that's just an overall note for more of the general public. I love the walk and this quicker speed, and then having their feature, everybody melting. This was a great choice, having half of them drop a little bit lower and then having the other half kind of drape higher. That's a really fun. She goes in, having a moment here, melting through. I love that. Now allowing those two to kind of go back, and so we have 3. And then I love that turn that they did too. As they go the turn up nice and tall, dropping down, right back over. Now right here we get to see some locking, so it is building up a lot more. There's a couple smiles, so I did miss that, so forgive me on my initial reaction. I didn't quite catch the locking here because it does have a more muted feel that matches the whacking aesthetic that they presented at the forefront. And I love the Ranajam, pick up the foot to move over. Love this here. Whacking variant. I love the little tongue stick out. That was cute. And then moving over into that more rotation to get everybody into a different formation. This was a really fun choice, having all of them branch out, having your one feature, and then have them all turn to finish, and then they step out. Boom. With a head roll. Very nice. This is actually very clean. It's tasteful. The aesthetic is really nice. Just my suggestions are, like I said, suggestions. They're not a make it or break it in my personal opinion. I hope that they showcase well, or we see maybe a different routine from them to even see more vocabulary or representation of these integrations between whacking and locking, because I love how it was after I took a second look. I was really able to see the difference, and I could tell, like, I actually saw more performance and personality come out from the locking section versus the whacking section in the beginning. But seeing them together in more of a collaborative front, that section was really nice to see, because I could tell that they were more, it felt more invested up here, which can go a long way on shows like this. Slay! I don't know why it's blurry, but to each their own. I love their like slay. Nice. Hey, that was fun. More Vogue influence on that. So I think they're tailoring too. Mana Queen and La Chica, but of course the pink. And the song can also be influence of Jam Republic as well. Love that. Hey, okay. Okay, that's a little cut there. That was fun. Okay, so honestly, if Lady Bounce was a mentor, they would go to Lady Bounce for freaking sure. Man, that is another pretty sad thing. I get it. I understand why they picked who they picked for the show, because from watching the first season, I was able to understand, okay, some crews, especially the ones that got eliminated earlier, they didn't have as much of a pool as the ones who were in the finals with their choices. So I understand that. I do wish, part of me still wishes it was just a natural flow of street woman fighter, street girl fighter, all crews represented. Street woman fighter 2, street dance girl fighter 2, all crews from Street Woman Fighter represented. I feel like that's just a really nice, easy flow, but I get it. Anyway, from here, I really do feel like La Chica or Manic Queen, just from this presentation alone, they would be really good fits for them. Vibing it through, posing. This was really fun having their own little personalities through. Love it. More hand work versus whacking or anything in particular. That does cater more towards Vogue in how they're choosing to go about with usage of their hands. Hinging around is really nice. I love that with the tutting. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Love the energy. This part right here, freaking gorgeous. I love that. It's just a great commitment. How the girl in front specifically, she just low-key almost goes into a bone-breaking position. So impressive. I love that. Really nice to have that sitting in the pocket. Great song choice for this as well. 3-4. I would say this energy here dropped just slightly for that transition, but it is really nice to see them go into their dips. Really great flexibility there. Love that. And I love that those on the floor. Part of me wishes we could see all three of them, but I like the feature of all of them complementing in the hands. Sliding down. Very nice. Flexing. Oh my gosh, not flexing. Just bending the leg into a dip. Yeah. This is just really tasteful choreo, and I think it matches the group's vibe really well. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I've seen that exact tutting variation from Spella because I've learned that exact tutting variation from Spella before. Do I think Spella owns it? No. But it is, I would say, I'm more familiar with a tutting sequence like that than I am of others because of the iconicness of it from Bury a Friend. And also, that was from Naughty, Irene and Solgi. I would say that Spella also choreographed that one. So I think that's why, too, there's some notability in the K-pop realm where that's like dun 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 mola, you know. So that's my one note. I love that bleeding over, super fun. Whenever they kind of walked sugared forward, my note would be to have a little bit more of a presence of the hips here, or more of a groove present. I think would really help diversify their portfolio outside of how they're showcasing it to the track. I love that they're also trying different ways to dip into this as well. Very nice with their walks. Love it. Now, please correct me. It's been like a hot second. But I think I'm on the right track though. Hot second on terminology for Vogue. I do know the dips. I used to, bless it, used to call them death drops. We've learned they're dips. Shout out to those who were very gracious to me in correction. Now here, those types of walks, I believe those are called a catwalk, right? Because the duck walk is when they're down or they're squatting and they're walking. But the top, whenever they're walking standing, I think that's called a catwalk. So let me know if I'm on the right track. If I am off, please do the same and humbly correct me. Please don't be mean about it. Remember, Vogue is not my forte. I do popping and waving, which are not the same thing as Vogue, but I appreciate what Vogue has to offer and just the whole, I appreciate the vibe and I appreciates its significance and importance for the diversity that you bring with street styles specifically. So, and that's why I'm a natural gleaner of information from Vogue. I do glean and I'm a student of learning more about it. So just treat it more that way. I know enough so I can be better at expressing or appreciating the choreography, like in this case. They finished in a dip. Really fun. I think the energy was great there. I'm looking forward to seeing them actually on the show because, like I've already been mentioning, I'm assuming that all of these that are being shown are going to be auditioned in some way, shape, or form. Regardless if we see them, they will see them on the show in some way. But I liked that one. That one was fun. All right. Hexagon. I've heard so many of you guys tell me about this cruise, so I'm really happy I get to see them here. Woo! Clean. Ah! Yes, ma'am! Oh, I love this! Gorgeous. Okay, now, interesting thing here, their tops do remind me of, oh, who was it? From, she did all that tutting. Lee So-min, tutting and whacking and wrist rolls. Her top, their tops look similar, but theirs is more of a crop style. Okay, they did not disappoint. I was not expecting them to disappoint because a lot of you guys have done a great job of properly hyping me up for some of these crews, and this crew is of no exception. Seeing this from the top, I love the energy of this. Love the usage of the hands and the feet, as well as the head. Also, what's impressive about this is they're not letting the accents influence the overall angles that they've originally set. Sometimes when people use their head, their body naturally wants to move where their head goes, but they're doing a great job of isolating so we can see the visual in the picture the whole time. Right there, great example. Especially the ones who are the most at risk of moving would probably be my two right there, and they held it down brilliantly. I love that with the angles representing on the outside, bringing it back in, great usage of levels. I would say out of all the groups, they're the ones that I think have showcased the most variety of levels out of these specific excerpts that we've seen. And I love that. That was freaking clean. Then we're going to see it one more time. Look at this. Ready? So it goes back. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. There's a good chance that this team is Team Green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Team Green, maybe. And then you add Lee So-min in here. 6. But I forgot where Lee So-min went. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Anyway, this is freaking sick though. Absolutely love it. Also, this is a side note. This is my Gen 2 coming out, Gen 2 K-pop fan. She reminds me of Park Bom. It's probably because of how she's having her hair and her energy and how she carries her performance reminds me of Park Bom, which is a compliment, a huge compliment. I think she is so, they're all very pretty, but she just reminds me of that, of Park Bom's energy. I love that there. Bring it through into the aerial. My one note I'm going to make about the aerial because I caught it. Point your feet. I would suggest pointing of the feet, and then also whenever you do your aerial, think about swinging the arms versus bringing them in like chicken wings, because swinging them is going to provide more options, especially if you want to do aerial partner work or if you want to have a cleaner line and overall aesthetic of your aerial. It's just going to look nicer. And then her prep, just making sure whenever she actually drops, trying to have a fully lengthened and extended legs as she goes through it by naturally elongating and pointing through the feet. So from here, I love this. This is really nice. A huge Afro influence on this. Really fun. It really screams Jam Republic vibes for that right there. The energy right there is definitely more of a ballroom transition, which is just very powerful. I love it. Right there into the ba-da-da-da. So they really channel in a lot more whacking, integration with tuts. Just the energy is so fun, but they also can come across with a very, like, they feel very multifaceted because of their outfit, how they carried themselves. Their beginning took a more contemporary approach, and then they dropped down into more of an Afro approach, and then they have some whacking integrated, some tutting integrated. So they really are a really big, nice package. I think 1 mil would be ideal for this group, I personally feel. But I'll say Jam Republic too, just because of a lot of these groups that we see, if they want to refine it and have a more authentic pocket, because they're doing a wonderful job, but if they want to really dig in and get deeper in the implicit knowledge of some of these movements, Jam would be good, but I think the overall aesthetic and feel, 1 mil would be a really great pick. The energy of this, they pulled, love that, and then having one of them break in the center, having her own moment. Love that she carried it and it didn't drop in energy. They all come up, whacking overheads, pop, pop, pop. Love with the kicks, love that. Levels maintained, she pops down, kick, bring it back down. They all have the same level of energy as they hit that. I love that. Love that. Bump, 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 and boom. Yes, ma'am, to that. Very fierce. Very glad that we get to see Hexagon now, and I don't have to wait till next week and a VPM and a half later. That was great. I would say out of the group so far, of course, I haven't seen No Lips choreo, but I did say they have a huge, their big thing was with Unison, so I'm curious what their choreo is going to be. I don't know what their tape is, but I did notice the thumbnail. It looked like a competition. But here, they really give, out of all the groups, they have the best, they have, not the best, they have the most diversity of style representation with a mix of proper dynamics, levels, and textures. I think is really great, full energy, great power. At least just if you isolate it to the participant videos, this one is probably one of the, out of all the groups, definitely on the above average side. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing their audition. If they choose to do the same thing, if they do the same thing, they're gonna get an all-in. If they do something different, they may still get an all-in. That was awesome. I do think based on just, if we isolate it to just this video alone, 1 mil will be a fantastic pick for them. All right. Oh, she's dancing with Sean. Oh goodness. Kill 'em all, nah, what's peace? All they do is talk shit, you can never stop it, boy, just stop. High-end drunk, call that HD vision. All these other motherfuckers. Okay, so I would actually say this. So if this was that the audio, I'm assuming, was from the clip, Sean, just because you're a broad, don't just be dancing to the explicit versions of things. Man, but anyway, and it's just a little side note. This is actually very strategic and very smart for her to use this clip specifically, because if those who screened these was like Mike and Monica, having her dance to Sean, we got to talk about Sean Liu for a second. His choreography is very polyrhythmic and very complex, especially if you learn it in a convention setting. It is very difficult to do. It's on tier with Bailey Sock's choreo is very difficult to do on site. So having her be able to hold it down with Sean and not be left behind in the dust, but they held it down together, very, very commendable, and I think that's just really smart. I think super smart. I'm curious if she had to get permission from Sean to use this for the audition. I don't know, but Sean did post about it. I think he posted this one. This was super cool. So I don't know. I mean, I can do a little Sean Liu analysis here because this is choreo, but looking how she branches it up and down. Look how they do hit a lot of the dynamics and textures similarly. She has the personality to invest in it. I would say kill 'em all, nah. So really great wordplay. Like I like the choreo. Sean Liu's choreo I've always liked. So this is really fun to see. It's more so her ability to do it. It's really impressive. On site, for me, it would take me about a day. So I would learn it, and I need to sleep on it, and then I need to relearn it. And that's how I would feel comfortable doing it, because that's just my pacing of my brain, and I have accepted that. And I'm very happy with that, because I don't have to do convention stuff as often unless I travel with studios, and then I'm challenged in this way. But I love how she hits it and literally pops off. She does a good job. Matches energy, she comes up, personality, interacting with those next to her, shows that she's able to mold or adjust well with other elite level performers. So this is actually very good for this show based on the new rule. And having their talk, just stop, those stop. She did the choreo, Sean modified it to make it work for the partnership. Love that. Bring it over, twisting it over. He does a lot of twist and flex variations over to the side, but I know they're doing more of a freestyle at the tail end. Part of me wishes that we got to see that, but that's okay. So my overall note for this, obviously that is not what she did for the audition. I do know, I think you guys said that she went with Bebe. I think is for hers did vibe well with Bebe's aesthetic, and you guys provided great context for that too. So I apologize for not being able to recollect that instantly. But that was a very strategic and very well played audition tape because of who she was dancing with, for sure. The choreography, Sean's choreo is great too, so it also shows her diversity within those textures and techniques. And then seeing her do this and then doing Bada influence choreo is what I would call it, because that's what it really reminded me of. I think that she's gonna do well with Bebe. There's a good chance she'll make it through to the final crew lineup for Bebe. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what else she brings to the table in, whenever they have to challenge to be put in the actual crews. Okay, look at them with the gloves. I don't think we've seen this. NOYUS. I don't think we've seen this crew yet.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody to step together.
to that. Very cute. Cute! That was cute! Concept alone, they need to go to Hook. For sure. You know, and in assumption that they audition and they get in, I would hope that they choose Hook. Or Hook chooses them. Love this concept. Very cute. I will say, though, do you know how many people are in this group right now? There's more than 7. So there's automatically, even if this crew went through, we wouldn't, like, not everybody would even be able to participate anyway. Like, that's really sad to think about, you know. But seeing this how they started is like having their own little extras, their own little moments that popping through here. Now I love that we're seeing she wanted to take more of a locking posture, but it does feel a little bit more muted in her execution. I feel like some of her rotations could use a little bit more refinement in, at least in the wrist, in the twirls for this. And as she drops back, I love that it's trying to like, whoa, trying to dodge a bullet. I think more commitment of the hinge would make that look better. But if you also notice too, we really see her pressing her knees more front. And so that's why I would really want us to use the hips a little bit more, because it's causing a lot of tension and pressure on those joints. And so 30-year-old version of her would appreciate if 16, 17-year-old version of her now, regardless of her age, of just being more mindful of where you place your weight in your lower body. She drops down, the transition, they walk through. I really love the energy that they've presented here. Call the phone, you know, has like a Charlie's Angels influence a little bit on it. Looking down to great personality and how she presented herself in this, twirling up the gloves, throw those glasses. I love that they're looking very serious. They're looking around. Different postures or different poses, which I think is really fun. But I really wish there was more investment in the face to help with those poses. Like, you know, or be like, you know, really having more of an animated face to help carry this kind of character would really help go a long way through a video. The energy of this is really fun. I love that, branching out, having everybody still move over to the side, but then having your 4 diagonally branch up is really fun. Bleeding out to the side, 2, 3, 4, and the bleed right there, going over, branching out, da-da-da-da-da-da, adding on. Really great choice. Energy there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you would have to eliminate 2 people for sure from this crew if all of them competed. Sad. Also, side note, I want her outfit. Her outfit is a whole vibe and a half, and I think it's very cute with the little crossover suspenders. And I think just all these little outfits, especially with the mock turtlenecks with the sleeveless. I'm a fan of that fit. That fit's cute. I love that da-da-ch, and then they have a little bit more of that energy pulled over with the guns. That would be my note for this here, if you notice. And some people have a really more refined recoil. Some of them have a more, they use more of their arm, and some of them have a more flamboyant or flimsy recoil. Just establishing what kind you would want to have. The peel out there is really nice, having that moment, and everybody branching up forward. Really fun, doing really good job on just swiping across. A little moment of our feature, branching out to the side, but if you notice, just discrepancies of the torso. Some are catering more towards the inside, some are more framing it towards the outside, and we also have some pretty obvious, just needing some clarification on those arms. But it's still really fun. Basket runs, they only did it for about 2 counts. Doesn't quite bother me as much because they didn't do it for like a whole 8 count. Then having your feature, it's nice to see different girls featured for this, and the levels are nice too. So I would say this would be an example of, part of me wishes that this crew was in the Street Girl Fighter format of the first season, where I think that they would be really good refined. Like, I would love to see a refined version of them, but I know we're not going to be able to experience that, which is very disheartening for me. And that's my big kicker in all of this too, is not, I don't dislike the idea of like making your own crew. For me, there's two things that bother me about it. The first is I really feel like that should have been, if you really wanted to do that, you should have had people audition in isolation, because that's exactly what Ambitious did, I think, right? For that whole show, everybody auditioned as an individual, and then they all represented as individuals, even though they were in different crews, I think was the case. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong, if they did have crews audition, but they knew they were making a group out of these auditions. It wasn't a, here, come bring your crew. Okay, just kidding, we're gonna eliminate most of you and we're gonna build our own crew. Like, if I feel like the expectations to what's happening are different, and I think that's what's bothering me, is that you really could have saved a lot of emotional turmoil by just being better at communicating what the expectation or what is going to happen in the show. But also, I know they want drama, and that's a very organic way to get it. So I think that's my biggest hiccup in all of this, is that, like I said, I'm not a huge, it doesn't bother me about the format. It bothers me how they went about introducing the format. If they were more upfront about it, I think I wouldn't have as big of an issue, personally. But going from here, I love this moment with the picture. Just the little marches, the transition is super cute. One other feature, they all branch out with a peel off. So I think just my overall note is just being a little bit more refined. Having your feature go, hello, very cute. From here, I love this. 3, 4, 5, la. Just having this moment of the columns, this really cute look here. Da-da, yeah, da-da, da-da, da-da. And then we're about to go into, I think, really fun. That part right there. Da-da-da-da-da-da, look. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That part, I think it was a very creative way to use that sound or interpret that sound. And then she takes it, boom, projection, I would say. Notice that she keeps it kind of stuck there. I think if she really pushed it down a little bit, the range a little bit faster, or she didn't have it still and then descend, but have it descend as she was doing it, I think would have really felt very nice to see. And having her finish here, dropping down, and they're like, ah, and they're all pointing a gun, tapping out. Super freaking cute. That was very cute conceptually. Like I mentioned in the very beginning, I think Hook would be a wonderful choice for them, but of course, we know that even if they are selected, and let's say the mentors like, we want to keep your crew, they would still have to get rid of a couple of people anyway, and that's just that's sad. You know. And also, that's another note for me too. I kind of wish that in the application process they said please no more than 7. I feel like that would have been more appropriate than having, here you can bring, like, because imagine brand new child coming on the show and they got like 16 people. And you're going to have to cut 9 of them in order to have a brand new child as a group of 7, you know, but you didn't communicate that with them. I think it's just little things like that. But anyway, I really liked this group. I'm hopeful that we're able to at least see some of them in the show, to where we get to see them refine in their craft. All right, here we go. We got No Lip. So they did, wait, they didn't do this song. Somebody else did this song for auditions. We see way more level usage for some of this stuff. Dynamics are great. Yeah, the energy. Yep. Yep. Fun, and it looks like they cut it for the sake, you know, for time's sake. So my overall note for this is actually going to remain the same for this group. I think they're very good. They're very clean. They're probably one of the cleanest crews we will ever see on the show. Then I'll say Hexagon is pretty up there in synchronicity. Not going to lie. Just a different stylistic wheelhouse. Here, I love the aggression. It's very difficult to get this amount of people. Like, you have 6 right here, right? And I think that's 6 that's represented on the show. Really difficult to get that amount of people to have this level of sub-implicit performance quality of projection. And I do know a lot of you guys provided wonderful feedback to me, haha, pun intended. You gave me a lot of insight regarding this crew specifically because of their, just how they train. It makes perfect sense. And it's all about perseverance, grit, which are around this, it's pretty much the same thing, as well as your discipline. Those things are what's really going to set crews apart, is how well can you persevere when times are tough or when things are not ideal in your favor. But it is nice to see that they are working very hard. Love seeing the level represented here, having more of a lower end and then them traveling out in the outskirts. I love this here. So I do know, who was it who used this song? It was Yamada Ria. She used this song, I think, right? Boom, boom, boom. So I do like the fact that we went with something different for the show, because we were able to see this track utilized with Yamada well, instead of having multiple people use the same track. So I don't know if that was a production thing or if it was just we just got lucky and we got to see that. Anyway, this is a really fun set. I do think we would have been able to see more dynamics of their levels if we saw this set, but also we have to think about the confinements of how long they have. So I would assume that they did something different for the sake of being more refined within the time frame that they were given. I love this hitting over to the other side, very clean. Yeah, I love that pop, boom, over. They dropped down. We saw that roll down, and then they did a kip up into a crisscross. I'm actually in crisscross applesauce right now, which I think is really fun. They took a very Joker-esque aesthetic to this. And I love it. They took this, boom, had a little bit of a head ISO in play. Was it more like a head, or was it a... Oh, so they just moved their head. They didn't, I was expecting this, but they moved their foot and they let their head counter with it. It looks very nice, very cohesive with everything. Still very much in unison. Love this here where you have it with the build out, where you have your center person kind of doing both sides. Really nice, great option. But you notice, because they're an even group, you notice that you had to have somebody right behind somebody else. So that's another thing that I noticed about that. But it looks great because they didn't quite stay there the whole time. Having this, I went from a straight line very seamlessly into a V. Great. And they go up. Performance really carries and stuff like this. Especially in shows like this, your performance really matters. And so I love the usage of the claw, plus when my computer does that. So bringing it back here, dropping it down, back up. Very aggressive in the energy. Popping off completely here. Love the uses of the levels, having my 3 and then my 3, having them go from high to low very quickly. Really showcases their fluency of levels. And that's why that's why it's important to showcase levels, and also how you get into those levels matters. So whenever they do get into their levels, they get into them quickly or in ways that normally people don't expect, and still be that in sync. So that's a very commendable thing. I'm really glad we got to see that here. That right there, folding it down. And then look at even the refinement. My one note, though, is some of them did allow their hand. Oh, that was on purpose. So some of them, I was going to say that some of them moved their hand before they moved the body, but that was to initiate this glide over. So here's how you do this move if you don't quite know, because I've used this in choreography way back in the day. This was a shout out to Fiction from, it was like World of Dance way back is when I saw this move. And that's where I gleaned it from, was from him. So there's a chance this was out before then, but that's who I am citing my source to. Here's how you would do this. We're going to take your hand. The hand that is not up is going to be your anchor point. And also, it's good that they're wearing pants. That does help with the sense of seamlessness to shift and rotate. Having them turn and move. Really great choice here to move over and going in the time span. So they just take that anchor point and they pull on it. And that's what causes the body to move. You have to make sure that your torso is tight and locked in, as well as your legs are locked in position too. They are hovering that back leg. That's why you have this one straight and this one bent, because this one is actually lifted slightly off the ground so it doesn't get caught on that rotation. So that's my one note. They go there. Now we're still back in. We are seeing better levels, like what we've seen. We've dropped into more of a midline with standing. So I do appreciate that, but always, I think that there were some unison sections that I feel like adding just one extra level or one extra speed change dynamic would have really helped captivate those little micro sections of this even more. Staging is really nice here too. Love that here, da-da-da-da-da, into the ponies there. I feel like we did isolate a lot more in the torso for that, and so we really just got to see the extremities do that. So I don't know if the intention was to have more of a rock, but if you notice here, they are showcasing that rock more. So I'm gonna notice just a choice, just a preferential choice. I love the control that our feature has over the dancers here. Really fun, boom, da-da-da. They do a really interesting way of showcasing these reverbs or showcasing these vibrations in the set. It does cater to the concept, but they're doing it in really fun ways that keeps your attention, but also helps us be able to justify the type of sound that they're hitting there. That little boom, womp, yeah, melting through. That da-da-da-da-da, boom, up, and the aggressive, guys. That was cool, having them then shift them over and roll through, having a connection. Of course, we don't get to see the rest of it, but how they bleed to come together was really cool. So all in all, No Lip's going to be one of the teams to beat, you know, and when you think about it, so far they left one of the deepest impressions so far on the show. Of course, we're only one episode in. I do feel like HEXAGON, depending on what they bring, there's a good chance they're going to be one of the biggest competitors for them, and JUSTJERK rookies. So those would be your top 3 crews that could stay together. All the other crews I feel like could be subject to removal of members or modification of members. Some of them obviously just from the sheer quantity that they have. Some individuals I absolutely loved. I believe it's my second person that I looked at. I forgot her name. Her name escapes me. I'm so sorry. But I really loved her bodying technique, and I'm very curious how she would be integrated within whoever her group would be. And also know this too, because they're gonna have to do battles. Curious how we're gonna see these crews specifically be able to justify their spot on their own crew, if that makes sense. But it'll be interesting, and I'm definitely excited to see what they all have to offer, individuals and groups alike. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was helpful in some way. I'm very happy about the fact that these are easy to access and really nice and popped up on my YouTube today, so I could take a look at them. But I know this is gonna be on Patreon the day that I filmed this, and this is releasing the following day. So if you're watching this at like 9 a.m. or on Friday, that's why. But I'm very, very excited about the series. I do still kind of have some teetering perspectives on a couple stuff, but at the end of the day, we get to see dance showcase, artistry showcase, and get to see dancers grow. And even if they don't get past the audition, still just the growth of being in that space to grow and get feedback is still so important. And I'm really glad that a lot of these crews get that opportunity that if the show didn't exist, they wouldn't have. So I'm Jess. If you want to see more dance content, K-pop content, things of the like, I have that all over YouTube, but I have a ton of it, like over 75 early released stuff on Patreon, with some stuff that's blocked on YouTube, so it's hanging out on Patreon waiting for you to take a look at. I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.